Hello, welcome to our morning class. If you can hear me, wave your hand. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So you could start sitting on the floor. You could sit on the edge of a chair, on the edge of the seat. Whatever makes you feel that you have more of an upright posture and that can tilt that pelvic bone a little bit forward here so you can keep your shoulders back and chest lifted. The hands can rest on the knees or the thighs. We'll drop the nose down toward the floor. Eyes can be closed or soft. Starting to draw the awareness out of the mind, out of the thinking brain, and into the body. Just noticing what comes to your awareness, what aspects of your being. Notice how you're breathing, how deep or how shallow. In what part of the lungs are you breathing? The belly region, middle of the lungs, or is it all diaphragm breathing? And then starting to work toward a more integrated breath. So using the belly, moving the belly in and out, starting to draw the breath down in the deeper parts of the lungs. We'll also have the inhale expand the rib cage around the center of the rib cage, the back of the body, the sides of the body. And also feeling the chest lift. So these are 3 parts of the lungs. Trying to move the breath into all parts of the lungs evenly. And holding on to this expansive breath with your awareness, just notice what is the perimeter of your awareness. How much can you sense about your environment around you, in front of you, behind you, above you, to the sides, below, while still retaining an awareness of this expansive breath in the body? What's the perimeter? And then we'll draw that awareness back to the perimeter of your body. Couple and more Deep and full breaths here. Full inhales, full exhales. And on your next inhale, we'll slowly open the eyes and come back into the space. All right, let's start with a side bend. Left hand down, right hand up and over, keeping those shoulders in line. You might bend that lower elbow. It's trying to drop a little more. On an inhale, we'll come on up and over to the other side, so taking the right hand down and over. On an inhale, we'll come on back up to center, bringing both hands back by the hips. We'll lift that chest up toward the ceiling, possibly tilting the pelvic bone and coming into a back bend, or just lifting straight up, shoulder blades together and down. On inhale, we'll come on up from there. So if you're on the floor, I'd like you to have your legs in a cross-legged position if that works, with one leg in front. I'm going to come forward here in a forward bend. Now, if you're in the chair, then I would like for you to take your feet a little bit forward, soles of the feet together, and drop the knees wide. And from here, you can hold the back of the chair as you need, starting to come forward here in a Baddha Konasana bound angle pose. And what we're going for here, if you're in the chair especially, is lengthen up through the top of the head. So you're going to come down with control using your abdominals here. If you're on the floor, you have the one leg in front of the other. As you come forward, I still want you to lengthen up to the top of the head. Still pull in the abdominals as you come forward. So we're not rounding. I'm not going to round down. Leading with the chest and trying to keep your sit bones down. Now, if you're in the chair, you can stay where you are in the extended Baddha Konasana. If you're on the floor, I'm going to come on back up and switch the legs, taking your other foot forward, your other leg forward. And then, again, coming forward here, sit bones down, length in the spine. And then on an inhale, we'll come on up from there. If you're in the chair, you'll bring your knees back together and your feet on the floor. I'm going to take a turn, Length through the spine, turning to the left. You can use your chair here, the chair back for support. On inhale, we'll come back through center and exhale over to the other side. Again, trying to be long in the spine. On inhale, we'll come on back to center. I'm going to keep the chest lifted, shoulders back. We'll drop the nose down toward the floor. I'm going to draw a circle with the tip of the nose. Nice big circle. And then we'll pause in that direction. I'm going to circle the other way. The biggest circle you can make, looking over your shoulders when you come over to the sides. And the next time that your nose is back to that starting place, looking toward the floor, we'll pause there. And then you can lift the head. All right, let's take this motion to the shoulders. We'll bring the hands to the shoulders and draw circles with the elbows. Nice big circles. You may find that one side is a little different than the other. It's starting to build a little heat in the body. Keeping that breath flowing. And we'll pause in that direction. Let's circle the other way. Big circles with the elbows. Now, if this is too strong for your shoulders, you could do very small circles. You could even hold here. And if you're holding, you'll start to take the elbows back behind, just to that point where you can feel it. Otherwise, if it feels okay, just keep circling. And then we'll release the hands. You can bring them to the legs or the hips, and let's circle at the hips. I'm going to try to keep your sit bones down. We're leaning forward and rotating. So if you're in the chair, especially on the edge of the seat of the chair, so that you have room here to circle. So we're trying to feel this in the hips, not the back, not the head, not the neck. And we'll pause in that direction. Let's circle the other way. Again, we're working the hips, trying to keep the back supported. And then work our way back to center. Okay, we are going to come up to standing. So taking your time, come up off the floor. You can clear your mat of any props. Here in the chair, of course, you're standing up. Coming to your mat. So coming into Tadasana to start. So feet flat on the floor, hip distance apart and outside edges parallel. Just trying to feel the feet. I'm going to try to lift the toes. So if you lift the toes here, you can really tell if you are more in your pinky toe side arch or your big toe side arch by lifting the toes. See if you can balance across those two. You can even start to roll pinky toe, big toe. Thinking of lifting both arches here. I'm in the center, right in the center. And then still keeping your toes lifted. You're going to try to balance from your heel to the toe mounds. So you're feeling forward, back, right in the center of the foot. So now you have both arches lifting, the pinky toe side and the big toe side, and you have the center of the foot lifting. If you were thinking if you had your hands on the floor, you'd be lifting at the center of the palm. Well, it's kind of the same thing with your feet. Just lift the center of the palm of your feet. It might feel weird, might feel different. I'm going to try and maintain that tone and lift, but allow the toes to soften. Did you lose it? See if you can keep the lift, soften the toes down. Right in the center of the foot. And from there, starting to tone the muscles of the legs, pulling in toward the bones, pulling up in towards your core, toning the legs as if you were pushing holes down into the floor and becoming super tall. What does that do to your balance? The tailbone We'll tip down right between the feet, so lengthen the lower back. Not so much that your hips are forward, then back, tailbone down, abdominals in, shoulders back and down, not military style, just back and down, nice and easy. Again, what does that do to your balance? Keeping a tone in the body. When I say a tone in the body, I'm not talking about military rigidity here. We're just keeping enough support to feel stable. Now what's going on with the chin? I'm going to try and draw your nose parallel to the floor and the ears back in line with your shoulders. Tadasana, mountain pose. So hands could be facing you or they could be outward. It's up to you. And try and maintain that. Take a nice deep breath and take the hands up and over the head. I'm going to bring the palms toward each other now. Shoulder width apart, elbows straight. Now if you have to have your arms out here to have your elbows straight, that's okay too. I'm going to draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And the hands, I'm going to try to get them in line with the rest of the body. Again, feeling all the way down into your feet, finding that point of balance. From here, we're going to try to breathe in all sides of the lung. So think about the center of the rib cage all the way around. The back of the body, the front of the body, the two sides of the body expanding on your inhale. And on your exhale, the whole circumference of the rib cage pulling in, belly drawing in. Still keeping those arms overhead, balancing on 2 feet. Expansive breathing while balancing on 2 feet. From here, we're going to try to bring the palms together. Still try to straighten the elbows. If that doesn't work, you can keep them hands apart. We're going to root into your left foot and tip toward the right, coming into crescent pose. Now, even though we're down on the side here, still try to breathe into all parts of the lungs. On the inhale, I'm going to come back up through center. We're going to try crescent pose on the other side. Root into your right foot and tip down toward the left. Shoulders in line. If this is too much for your shoulders, drop your lower arm across the belly. On inhale, we'll come back up to center. Now I'm going to release the hands to the lower lumbar spine, fingers toward the floor. Draw the shoulders back and down, coming into a back bend. Tailbone forward. We're going to lift the center of the chest up toward the ceiling. Now you might just go straight up, or you might keep going and even lean backward. If it's okay with the neck, you could look all the way behind. So legs are toned and supporting. The further back you go, the more the hips have to come forward. I want to draw the abdominals in and come back up to center, back up to standing. I'm going to release the hands now to the sides of the hips and let's hula hoop, releasing your back. I'm just drawing a little circle here, hula hooping. I'm going to pause here and circle the other way. And then coming back to center now, abdominals in, we're going to come forward, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. You can release your hands down. If you can't touch the floor, you could use the seat of a chair. You could use a block or two. You could bring your hands to your shins, but make sure that you're not locking your knees. We don't want the back of the legs super stretched out here. I'm going to keep some micro bend here. Lift the tailbone up toward the ceiling, engaging the leg muscles, lifting up, up, up. And then the body can soften, the upper body can soften down over that. Allow the head to hang, the neck can be soft. And then I'm going to take a bend to the knees, abdominals in. We're going to roll our way back up to standing ragdoll style. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Come back up to standing. So feet are still hip distance apart. And take the hands to the hips. Bend the knees to come down. On an inhale, push in your feet. Come on back up. So bending the knees, they're still hip distance apart. Exhale down. On an inhale, push into your feet, come on up. Exhale, a little lower this time. Push in your feet on an inhale, come on up. And last one, chair pose. Exhale, coming down and hold. Tailbone down toward the floor, abdominals in, shoulders back, and if you feel okay here, arms up. Chair pose. And your feet on the floor, finding that balance point. When we're working on left, right, big toe mound, little toe mound, heels, toes, center of the foot lifted. Active feet. And then we'll push into the feet, come on up to standing and release the arms. I'm going to do a little bit of balance work. So you could use a support here in the back of a chair. wall, piece of furniture, just something that's there for you on the right side of your body for if you need it. We're going to start in flamingo pose. So for this, we're going to have the right foot flat on the floor, right side of the body roots down into the earth. Again, you can have your hand on the support. I'm going to bring up the left knee. Now, if you can take that left hand underneath of the leg. You might be able to grab the front of the knee. If you can balance, you could interlace your fingers around the front of the knee and hold here. So you have your support here. You're going to try to keep your hips level. Try to reach up through the top of the head. Just holding your knee. Or underneath if you can't quite get there. And then from here, we're going to take the knee out to the side. So just one hand here out to the side. You're going to root down into your right foot, your right leg. And then we'll bring that knee back in and release the leg down. Good. Now try the other side. Swapping that chair around if you're using a chair, or turning around if you're using a piece of furniture. Left leg is now your standing leg. We're rooting down on that side, your hand on the support if needed. And we'll bring that right knee up. We'll try to keep the hips level as much as we can. Now, if you can't quite get very high, it's okay. And if you can't get your hand underneath and still maintain upright, that's all right. It's a little harder. You might have to just lift your leg here. That means you're going to be using your muscles, your leg muscles more than if you can hold it with your hand. Starting here in our flamingo pose, upright posture. Again, you might be able to balance and hold your knee with both hands. And then holding with just the right hand, we're going to take the knee out to the side. And we'll bring that knee back and release. Okay, we're going to work on pyramid pose. So for pyramid, you could use a chair. And the way you would use the chair is you'll be bringing your hands down on the seat of the chair, and both legs will be straight. One leg will be in front. You can also do this with blocks. So I'm going to start with the right foot will be forward. Left foot back. We're going to be squaring those hips and coming down. So you can grab blocks or a chair, or if you're able to touch the floor, then you can come down on the fingertips. So I'll let you get those props. And then as you're ready, you're going to stand facing your setup. You're going to take that right foot forward and plant it. Plant the foot, tone the muscles of the legs, especially up into the right hip. And a step back on your left side, square the hips forward. So you want that right leg to be super long, starting to bring the hip back toward what's behind, both feet firmly on the floor. Abdominals in, we'll hinge at the hips, lengthen the spine to come down, releasing your hands to the chair, your blocks, or the floor. So wherever you are here, we're trying to lengthen from that right hip drawing back, both legs straight and extending from tailbone to the top of the head. Nice and strong, active feet, and no locking on this knee. So try and keep micro bend there or tone in the muscles around the kneecap. And now from here, you're going to take your left hand and bring it a little toward center. So if you're in the chair, slightly more forward. If you've got blocks, you're just going to move that block just a little bit closer to your front foot. And you keep that hand down. Keep the hips where they are. Keep the length in the spine. But bring the right hand to the hip and stack your shoulders, one on top of the other. So we're separating shoulders from hips, twisting around the spine, opening the chest now toward that right side. And if you have a little more here, you're going to slip that right hand now around the back of the body. See if you can bring it to the top of the left hip. Keep turning, keep twisting, keep drawing the shoulder back, but make sure the hips don't swing. We're going to inhale. I'm going to unwind here back into our pyramid pose. Bend your front knee, toning the muscles around that knee. I'm going to come on up. And you can step your feet together. All right. Let's try the other side. So we'll take that left foot forward. Again, plant the foot. Big step back on the right foot and square the hips toward what's in front. That left hip now moves back toward what's behind. Both legs straight. And then come on down with support in the abdominals. Hands to the chair, blocks, or floor. You always have active feet, and we're trying to keep the hips from swinging. They like to do some funny things. This is a sagittal plane posture, so everything is in a forward motion here. Forward, back, what you can see in front of you, right in front with the hips. Now we're going to bring that right hand a little closer towards center, or again, bring your block a little more towards your front foot. Keep the hips from swinging. Keep them where they are. Slip that left hand to your hip and draw the shoulder back to stack the shoulders and open the chest. So you're twisting around the spine. Length here. Tailbone to top of the head, shoulder back. Abdominals in. And if you're wanting a little more, take your top hand around the back of the body. Find the top of your other leg. All right, inhale, unwind back into pyramid pose. I'm gonna bend that front knee, abdominals in, come on up to standing, and step your feet together. All right, we're gonna clear off your mat, anything that may be there, and we're gonna work our way down to the floor. So I'm gonna grab a hold of a blanket if you have one. I'm gonna sit down on the floor on your blanket with your legs extended out in front. So you're gonna sit right on the edge of the blanket so that the hips can come forward. Remember we did that at the beginning of class 2? Hips come forward, so tipping forward. This allows a little bit of a curvature in your lower back and allows you to be more upright without so much strain. Let's do a little something different. Today we're gonna bring the feet close together. Now when I mean close together is so that some part of your legs are touching. And now, so you may have a case like me where the knees come together but the ankle or the heels are actually still apart. That's okay. If your heels can come all the way together, that's fine too, doesn't matter. I'm just wanting the legs to come in, toes up toward the ceiling, so toes straight up, pressing through your heels, and some part of your legs coming together to touch. So again, you might have a different shape. It doesn't matter if your heels come together or not. All right, so from here, I want you to isometrically draw from your heels up the length of your legs back to your tailbone, as if you were going to scoot your tailbone behind you. Just notice what that does to your legs, to your posture. Rest your hands down by your hips and draw the shoulders back and down. Bring that nose back and parallel to the floor, chin parallel to the floor, and ears back. Just like we were when we were standing. This is staff pose. Drawing the abdominals in, nice and toning and supporting. And becoming as tall as you can from your sit bones up to the top of the head. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to take the hands out to the side, palms up. So shoulders still back and down, elbows straight. I'm going to try and bring your hands now over your head. Shoulders stay down the back. Abdominals in. And from here, I'm going to slowly start to hinge at the hips and come a little bit forward. Lead with your chest. And the reason I want you to go slowly is I want you to feel the point of challenge where either your arms want to drop or you want to cave in, you want to curl. And lead with your chest. Keep your shoulders back. Finding that edge. Toes still up toward the ceiling, abdominals supporting. Now, you may not come very far at all. You may be still upright and be like, yeah, I already feel like I want to curve. So if that's you, you're just going to hold here. And if it's too much on the shoulders at any time, just go ahead and bring the hands down and you can just work coming forward here. So what I'm trying to get you to feel is how much do your abdominals have to support you to keep the integrity of the length of the spine, the arms over the head. It may not come very far at all. I'd like you to breathe into your challenge place. From here, you're going to keep the forward motion in the chest here, leaning forward, but release the hands down now. Hands down by the sides, shoulders back and down. Keep those abdominals in, and now see if you can come a little further. Toes still up. On inhale, we'll come on back up. We're going to take the left leg out to the side in a wide shape out to the side. Just the left side. With the right leg, we're going to bend the knee and draw the foot in. So knee goes out to the side, your foot comes in closer, and try to wiggle your foot so that it's center of your body. So if you were to drop your head down, your nose would be in your foot. And so if this is too uncomfortable, you could have your foot a little bit more forward. So if your head was down, your foot would be over your head. That's perfectly okay. So we're trying to make a half diamond on the right and a straight leg on the left. Toes up on the left side. So outer rotation on that leg. Again, length in the spine here, we're going to come forward. So we're going to try to put that foot in your face, or your face in the foot. And if you can keep your shoulders back and away from the ears, you can walk the hands forward. But if they're rounding and curling and you just are doing this, then bring the hands back and lead with the chest. It's more important that we maintain the integrity of the spine and the abdominals than how far forward we get here. And if you're especially very low, make sure that your hips don't come off the floor. So particularly that left hip, if it's way off the ground, try to push it down, try to root it down, and keep grounded here as you come further forward. On an inhale, we'll come on up from there. I'm going to keep this left leg extended. I'm going to grab that right foot and pull it in a little closer. And then we'll take the left hand down the length of the leg. You're going to start to drop your shoulder and elbow down, that whole left side of the body draping down over that leg. We'll bring the right hand to the right hip and draw that shoulder back, opening the chest toward the ceiling. Options here, you could slip the hand around behind and keep twisting. You could also take the hand up and over your head. Just make sure that you don't round forward here. Keep the shoulder way back, looking toward the ceiling. The goal will be to get the back of the body over top of your left leg. So you want to really rotate if you're coming down. On an inhale, we'll come on up from there. We're going to draw that left leg in, and I'm going to come to the other side actually. Sorry about that. Let's extend your right leg out wide, and your left leg, we're going to come into that half Baddha Konasana. So we're going to bend that knee, left knee out to the side, and the foot in center line with your nose. So what I mean by that is it's not off to the side and it's not so far out that you're off center. So right in about in line with your face here, with your nose, and it doesn't matter how far forward or back you are. And you want your sit bones down and the toes of your right foot up. From here, we'll come on forward. So lengthen up to the top of the head, shoulders back. We'll hinge at the hips and come forward here in our half Baddha Konasana. On inhale, we'll come on up from there. We're going to draw that left foot in. And then extend out the right hand, right arm over the right leg, the whole right side body dropping down. Left hand on the left hip. I'm going to open the chest toward the ceiling. Again, options here. Left hand could come around the back of the body, just drawing the shoulder back. Or if you can keep that shoulder back, you might take the hand over your head. Just make sure you're not curling in. So again, the goal here is to keep your top shoulder back behind and opening your chest toward the ceiling. So you're twisting the upper body over the length of your right leg. On inhale, we'll come one up from there. You can draw the legs in. We're going to come off of your blanket if you're on one. You can set it aside for now. And then bring your hands back behind. So this way you can kind of hang out on your hands. Knees bent, feet on the floor. And take the feet about mat width apart. And then drop both knees to the left. So as you do that, you're going to bring that right knee to snuggle in to your left foot. Now you're going to pick up the right hand and you're going to follow the direction of your knees. Wrap all the way around, turning your chest toward the floor, and then bending your elbows and dropping your nose down toward the floor as well. And you can get as much of a stretch here as you want. On an inhale, I'm going to unwind, coming back to center. And then we'll work our way to the other side. So we'll drop both knees to the right. The left knee snuggles into the right foot. Go with the flow all the way around that side, walking your hands back, bending the elbows, and bringing the nose down toward the floor. On an inhale, we'll come on back to center. And now I'm going to move into a meditation. So you could do a meditation seated, or you could come into Shavasana. Shavasana, you'll be lying on your back with your hands by your sides, either palms up or palms down. So corpse pose is an option, or a seated meditation is an option. I'm just going to be here a couple of minutes. If you're doing a seated meditation, you want to have a proud seat, shoulders back, and then allowing the eyes to close and the nose to drop toward the floor. So if you're doing a seated meditation, you want to find a position that's both comfortable but also supported. If you're in Shavasana, you can let the body relax completely, eyes closed. And allow the mind to soften. Soften the brain. Opening to the sensory experience. If you're on the floor, you could choose to stay there or slowly work your way up to a seated position. I'd like to thank you all for joining today. If you have a couple of minutes after class, say hi to each other. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in class again. Namaste.